Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Mavs Moneyball's Group Therapy. My name is Kirk Henderson, and I'm editor-in-chief of MavsMoneyball.com. Thank you for joining me. It is Wednesday night, November 23rd. For those who are in the room, for those listening on Thanksgiving Day, thank you for choosing to spend part of your day processing the fact that the Celtics just whooped the Mavericks' ass. 125 to 112. So, I'm getting the sense, mainly from the number of people who have already requested to speak, that you guys are mad. And I think you would maybe reasonably assume that I am mad. And before we start bringing people up on stage, let's just work this through a little bit. I am not mad. I'm at least pleased that the Mavericks attempted to make it a little bit of a ball game after getting blown off the floor in the first half. Where I'm a little bit surprised, I guess I'm not that surprised because we've seen it a lot in these first 17 games, is the defense being as poor as it is. I don't know how you fix this. I really don't. Reggie's been pretty bad. Dorian has been equally as on-off. I think Josh Green's been pretty good. Dwight plays hard but can't do it. Luka saves his energy. Spencer is often really poor. He lets guys go past him for whatever reason. And there's not really backup guards. So they built a team that isn't actually capable of, well, let me think about this. They have a team that isn't really capable of playing the way they want to play without more minutes from Maxi Kleber, who's currently injured. And they bring in Christian Wood, who, we'll get to him. He had a really good offensive game. But defensively, guys, he is a mess at times. He was real bad tonight. Now, the Celtics are a bear to guard because they play, 5-out offense. They move the ball around. I don't know if you saw his Talk Franco's touch time chart from today. The Celtics basically have an incredibly balanced offense. So they're sort of built to expose what Dallas they're built to expose a defense like Dallas, which has some good defenders and multiple poor defenders. So I find myself not super annoyed. I mean, we did get our first 30-plus minute game from Christian Wood, which was interesting. I think there's a lot of good in what he did, but also a lot of I understand why at times it's difficult to play him because he just doesn't know what to do defensively. All right, so let's talk this one through. I don't really want to hang out forever here. We all got places to be for Thanksgiving, but if you guys want to hang out for a while, we can. Coming up first, I got my guy Dalton, who has his own shows over at DallasBasketball.com, but is pissy enough to come in here and talk. So, Dalton, I have a feeling you have something to get off your chest. I'll let you go first. Hit that unmute button.
Okay, there we go. Okay, look, if my audio is shitty, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm out in the middle of nowhere right now. But anyway, first off, happy Thanksgiving, early Thanksgiving. Hope y'all have a great time tomorrow. I know I am. I'm going to enjoy forgetting about the Dallas Mavericks until Saturday. But, look, this is something we kind of saw coming. The Celtics are the best team in the league right now. They're playing at home. The last 3 times the Mavs and Celtics had played, they got beat by Luka at the buzzer twice, and they got beat by Spencer Dinwiddie last second shot. So there was like some pent up aggression because of that sitting in the back of their minds, like, hey, we're going to beat these guys so bad that it doesn't come down to that this time. So, I mean, you kind of expected it, but it was just yet another reminder of how limited this Mavs roster is and, how much lack of help Luka has because nobody else on the team is able to dribble or create their own shot. Christian Wood can do that. He showed that tonight. He had like you said, just an excellent offensive game, even though his defense was terrible.
He can also stand to stop committing so many fucking offensive fouls. Like, his offensive fouls are obvious. Like, stop shoving people to the ground, friend.
Well, I mean, look, they are, but, I mean, so are Jason Tatum's.
I appreciate the aggressiveness. Like, I'm trying to take it in the spirit of things, but its offensive fouls are all, like, he looks really confused when he gets called for them, and it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, look, some of them are obvious. I think some of them are kind of ticky-tack, especially when you have guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum pushing off every other play and nothing gets called. So, I mean, at this point, I just expect any screen to be called an offensive foul on the Mavericks. So, but yeah, I mean, look, it's just another reminder of how limited the roster is. Luka is amazing, but I mean, this team has play-in team written all over it right now, and I don't know what the fix is. I mean, if they're not going to go out and make a trade, we've talked about this before. I mean, I'd like to see them give their younger guys a shot. I know you don't think Jaden Hardy's ready, and, a lot of people around the Mavericks don't think he's ready to be thrown into the fire, so to speak, so early. But I'd like to see it. Like,
I understand why you'd like to see it. I think that's admitting that you're seeding the season, and I don't think the Mavericks can. I don't think they can do that. I don't think you can tell Luka that you're quitting this early.
I disagree. I think it can be tried out for a couple of games at the very least, and then if it doesn't work, send him back to the G League and, have him do the up and down thing, and you don't worry about it. But they've got to try something. You can't just keep doing this whole thing where they end up just barely over 500 at the end of the year.
Sure.
And then in the play-in tournament, you're just hoping your role players have a good shooting night instead of what Tim Hardaway Jr. and Reggie Bullock are currently doing. And I mean, look, I you know me. I usually get up for all of these games. I love watching the Mavs. Usually, I have not had fun watching this team play this year, aside from Luka specifically. Like, the joy seems sucked out. I've had more fun watching the Texas Legends play than I have watching the Dallas Mavericks. And I want that to change going forward, but I'm not exactly sure what they do from here. But anyway, I won't take up more of your time. I know other people want to talk. Appreciate it, Kirk.
Sure thing. Have a happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Talk soon. All right. Now we're going to fly through some folks, but you know what? It's early. So if you guys do actually want to talk, I don't mind. I'm here. I want to go watch Andor. That's about all I want to do tonight. All right, guys, coming up next, we're going to let Mr. Dang go next because I always call him up late, and it's purely by accident, just running through people. Doe, what you got tonight? Give him a second to find that unmute button. He's probably shocked that I called on him.
Are you sure that was Dalton Trigg? Holy cow, that was so optimistic.
Oh, well, he's Dalton. He's everybody. There's a reason I'm in like 9 group chats with him because you need that friend who tells you it's going to be okay. I appreciate that.
I do too, but what can we expect? I mean, if we're going to be losing it against bad teams and looking inept, when we face a team that's halfway good, even though they're in the Eastern Conference with a 12-4 record.
Well, they might be the best team in the league right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Into the mic a little more, man. Sorry, you're not registering.
Oh yeah, okay.
There we go. That's better.
You know what they picked up that we should have picked up? Another ball handler.
Well, they run. Josh Bowe said this. I'm curious to see, and everybody else, I want you guys to think about this and talk to me about it when you come up on stage. The Celtics run an offense. Like, they run sets. Dallas runs nothing. Like, they don't even do some of the Spain pick and roll stuff that they were doing last year. Like, and granted, I'm not great about talking about offensive play-by-plays. Like, I can describe it to you, but they're just not running an offense. And the Celtics have all these, like, guys touch the ball pops around. I know that can't happen to a degree because the Mavericks don't have the players, but it's just a stark contrast.
Well, first of all, you have to have a coach to call plays, and to select the right players to be on the floor. So until we have any of those assets available, I mean, you could say what you could say, but if he keeps on playing the same players over and over and over again, isn't that just madness? And you get the same results, isn't that?
Well, so a friend of mine, Ben Collins, NBC Dystopia beat reporter, just asked me over Twitter, how is there any case for starting any other five guys than Luka, Dinwiddie, Hardy, THJ, Green, Dorian Finney-Smith, Wood? Like, any combination of those guys. Play the guys who give a shit and don't look like they just saw a ghost. I like that take.
I like it too, but I'm tired of seeing the same lackluster effort on defense. You can miss shots. I'm fine with that, but to not move your feet, not block out, not really.
There's a lot of that from the whole team tonight. It was rough.
It was the whole team. Luka looked like shit on D. I was so pissed off at him. Ugh.
So that's a great note, okay? Because Luka played 42 points, scored like every time. He was amazing offensively, and I think in no small part he looked like shit defensively because he was saving his energy.
He was tired. I mean, I also didn't like the fact that Luka was playing so much in a lost cause. Really, I mean, sometimes
I'm okay with it. They had 2 days off. You've watched the Mavericks since the early 80s. These dudes used to play 40-minute nights. Dirk played 40-minute nights for 10 years and was fine. I'm okay with it. Luka needs to play if they feel confident that they can win. And you know what? At the 4-minute mark, it was a 9-point game. So you get that down one more bucket, 7-point game, something. What if it's some special Luka magic for real? Like, I liked it. It made the game much more watchable, to be honest, because who else are they going to put in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes, I see what you're saying, but sometimes it's just good to just give up for the night, and play on the rest of the season.
Well, I still like Luka putting on a show.
Well, I love Luka putting on because he's the show. There's nothing else that we have that's worth watching except for a little bit of Wood.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to change. I mean, like that article that you put, there's no help coming.
Yeah.
I have to be resolute to say, hey, this is what I'm going to see the rest of the season. I need to just hold my breath and take it the way it is. But I really would prefer that they blow it up. Maybe if I suggest this like I did last season, they'll get their act together. I don't know.
Who knows? Well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm wondering if everybody's sort of counting on, including the Mavericks, where it's, let's play through some of the dreck, figure out what works, figure out what doesn't, come into the new year 500, and then try to go on a run. I just don't think you can count on that because winning 75% of your games is hard.
Yeah, that's true. And, my other worry is, Wood, the way that we treat Wood, does he really want to stay after the season?
Well, I think that's right now the answer would probably be no. But, kids giving some post-game comments about how they have to consider some of this stuff, which it's just – that's been something that my friend Matt Moore told me during preseason, where he's like, kid is eventually going to get worn down on this. And I don't see how he can't, because Maxi's a fragile guy. He plays so hard and he gets hurt. And so if that's going to be the case, like, you can't have Powell minutes for 25. Powell's good for 10 to 12, You got to play. They're going to have to play him at 5, even if he doesn't work defensively. I think it gives them, like, I would rather them try to win shootouts because the defense just isn't working.
I agree, but kid's a stubborn mule, I mean, I want to see it. I'm just like you. If I'm going to lose, I'd rather have Wood on the floor at least.
For sure.
We lose with trying to develop somebody and trying to improve, hopefully, his defense. You can't improve defense by not playing somebody. That just doesn't work.
All right.
Thanks, Kirk.
Sure thing, bud. Talk soon. All right. If anybody is new to the chat and hasn't, and wants to talk, I give new folks preference because I want to get as many people involved in this app as possible. I want these rooms to be like they were towards last season. Granted, I think a lot of people don't really tune into the Mavericks till after football's over, which is why we have kind of different live room audiences as the year goes on. But just keep that in mind. All right, we got a couple new folks already requested in the meantime. Mr. Green, welcome. How you doing? Hit that mute button one more time there at the bottom of the main screen, and then I'll let you talk.
How did that go?
Excellent.
That work all right?
Yeah, sound good.
Mate, look, I love what you guys do. Always listening, always lurking. But I had to talk, mate. I live in Australia, live in Perth. And you know what it's 11:30 in the morning. Now I've got to go through the rest of the day after watching that without fucking eye bleach. I'm devastated, man. I'm devastated. This team was so much fun to watch last year. Even the 2 early exits against the Clippers, so much fun to watch. But, man, we need an offense. It's all right to be a defensive team or, mold the team to be defensive, but we just don't have an offense. We just don't have one. It's very, very hard to watch, man. Very hard to watch.
I don't know where the offense would come from at this point because my understanding, maybe Greg St. Jean, is that how you say his name? Whatever. The guy who's a summer league coach feels like he's a fascinating guy. It's not coming from Jared Dudley. Like they're not running the Jared Dudley offense. That shit isn't happening.
No. No.
I don't. I don't really have. I don't know what they can do because it's like when you assemble a team of guys where most of the players are sort of single role. They like Dorian shoots threes and plays defense. Reggie Bullock misses threes and plays. Is supposed to play defense. Like I'm not sure what kind of offense you could run because it's like how many times we see these guys do stuff like normal offensive basketball things and then it just looks horrendous.
How do you reckon our defense looks after tonight on paper?
I know that by 13. Not as bad as they'd ought to because they were down by what? 25 at one point.
I'm 27.
Yeah.
I just think that this fake pretend top 5 defense that we seem to be obsessed with trying to obtain is just killing us because we just, when we don't have players that can put it in the bucket, we continue to play them. The defense is average. Did you see how many layups the Celtics got tonight?
Well,
every time, straight through the lane, just put it in the basket all the time with no resistance.
And
we couldn't stop a first step. Couldn't stop a first step all night.
This feels like bullshit, but it's true. The Mavericks had more points in the paint than the Celtics did, but I feel like it was a layup parade.
We need to. We've got a generational post-up talent.
Yeah.
Who has the ball for most of the possession of every time he's on the court. We should be scoring more points in the paint. But, man, when we can't stop the ball going in the basket on our end, maybe it's time, I don't know, something weird, maybe try and outscore them.
I mean,
I'm getting frustrated, man.
I understand.
Well, Christian Wood, look, I know a lot of guys are beating the table about, let's see Hardy play, let's get him in. Does anyone else spin out as much as I am seeing how many young guys are playing for the Pacers right now under Rick Carlisle?
No, what's happening up in Indiana right now blows up all of the bullshit that fans believe about Rick Carlisle not playing young guys. He didn't play young guys in Dallas because we didn't have good young guys. You need players that know how to play.
Come on, mate. Come on. Tyrell Terry would be 30-point-a-game player if Rick just let him play.
Tyrell Terry's out of the league. You know that.
I know.
No,
I know. I'm only joking.
Sorry, I'm tired.
But man, I just hate the fact that we do have a player like Hardy, right? He's sitting there. He's in the G League. He's playing well by all respects. He is an offensive guy. So where is the middle ground? Where is the middle ground with our coaching staff to say, hey, maybe we concede 115 points a game, but we score 130. Let's get some offensive guys on the floor. Let's be a little bit more relaxed on D, and let's run the floor and pump it up and get some, it drives me insane, Kirk.
I feel like
drives me insane.
Hardaway is the easiest one to point to where it's like, how does this keep happening? And I think they're playing Hardaway because they expect him to sort of have a regression to the mean in a positive way where he starts hitting anything. And I don't know, man. I mentioned him twice now. Iztok Franco had a series of tweets yesterday where he's like, outside of these 2 years where Tim shot like 39 and 40%, he's really a 35% and maybe below that 3-point shooter. And if that's the case, Tim will have some regression back, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to make him somehow appealing. Like you don't make him even like a neutral trade asset. Like Tim's kind of busted, and it's concerning.
The thing that devastates me is Tim was our second best player 2 seasons ago.
Wow, yeah.
And to think that we've just, Brunson was benched, coming off the bench, and it does infuriate me when everyone says we lost our second best player. We lost our second best player. We lost our second best player in that stretch of last year, but he was never what the Mavericks were banking on. And look, that's obviously a mistake. I can appreciate that was a mistake. But, Tim was such a big part. DFS was such a big part. But, man, I just don't see the Bang brothers banging no more. I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
The only reason Dorian's not getting flamed more is because Reggie's playing worse.
Exactly. And they're both, at a point where when they're off the floor, I ain't missing either of them. And that really is upsetting because, I think it was only 4 or 5 months ago we were saying DFS was the best contract in the NBA.
Yep.
And, man, I just don't see him putting his stamp. I mean, look, he had a couple of nice blocks and a couple of nice defensive plays, but, man, when his job was to look, to go after Tatum and Brown, they both cooked us, man, for 30+. It's fucking embarrassing. Terrible. It really is.
Reggie got beat so badly on really simple stuff. Like he gave up some offensive rebounds. Like I really like Reggie, and I was pretty mortified of his play this game. So
I love both of those guys, Kirk. But the thing that I feel that is really, really missing from this team is accountability from the coaching staff. I just feel like if they treat these guys equals, they're all on the roster, they're all multimillionaires. If you treat them like equals, when you're going through a tough stretch, hit the bench and fucking stay there. And show me in practice that you've made the improvement to get more minutes and just play the guys that are playing better. That's just what they have to do. But I just don't see that at all. And same with Luka. When the amount of times where Luka gave up on an offensive possession where he wanted a foul that caused the game to fucking turn drives me insane.
Oh, sure.
He just puts his hands on his hips. It's 4-on-5. They come down, get a big three. I'm seeing it every fucking game. It's doing my head in. And as I said, Kirk, I don't get to go to sleep in the next hour or two. All right? I've got to go through the whole fucking day stewing on this until the missus gets home from work and she goes, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Well, I've just been stewing on another fucking Mavericks loss for the last 10 hours, and it's still in my head in. But I'll let someone else talk, Kirk, and you're very gracious and let me speak, and I'll try and speak a bit more when I come into the room.
I'm grateful for you taking the time. Have a good day. Yeah, well, I feel his cursing deep within my soul. It resonates. Mr. Douglas, How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Welcome back to the show. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the board with you in regards to this loss wasn't that bad. I didn't feel, oh my God, I'm not angry. It's kind of knew going in, they're the better team. So, if we won, that'd have been great. But losing, I don't feel as bad as losing to all those teams without their best players. Those losses are frustrating.
Sure.
Now this loss is you're getting beat by a better team. So, I get it. But yeah, watching the game, they have to make the change. They have to just put Seawood in the star lineup and take out Bullock, because Bullock is insert Wood and take Bullock out. I'd put Green in. If you want to maybe swap Tim Hardaway Jr., maybe starting, he feels better. He starts hitting shots, but you have to switch up something because the star lineup is not working out. It's just not.
I'm curious to what they do, because I'm just and let me be straight with the chat. I'm not going to write this. Probably not even going to tweet it. I am out as fuck on Jason Kidd. Okay. I'm not going to make it a thing I talk about a lot, but I'm out. I'm out on him. Brad Townsend had that whole deal about nobody who knows anything about basketball would recommend Jason Kidd, getting fired. I'm like, I am out on Jason Kidd is what I'm going to say. And I say that to note next that I wouldn't put anything past Jason Kidd in terms of pettiness. Okay. His track record is about protecting Jason Kidd. That's all. If winning is a byproduct, delightful. Got to win his way. He has so many horrendous incidents while coaching, just coaching stuff. Like he sent Lawrence Frank away from the Brooklyn Nets coaching staff. Didn't like the fact that he was getting his due for things he was probably doing. I wouldn't put anything past Kidd in terms of assembling a starting lineup only to be able to then come into the post game after the Mavericks lose to say, see, didn't work. All the things you guys have suggested, garbage. I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying. It seemed like Jason Kidd as a coach, he's much more reactive after, fans and media calls for certain things to get done.
Well, I honestly don't know what he does. I think it was Tim Cato who did that post on all the assistant coaches, and Spencer Dinwiddie or somebody said that Kidd doesn't really run practice. Okay. And he doesn't really seem to run games. So what, not to sound like the Bobs from Office Space, but right. What would we say he does here? Like someone in the chat earlier said, he wins a game of pocket pool every game because he just wanders around the sidelines with his hands in his pockets, which is my favorite thing. But I just, he has never been one to really strike me with a lot of rah-rah energy as a coach. I mean, Jason Kidd's been a part of my life since I was 14. Yeah. I got a poster of him on my wall, but Jason Kidd, the coach, doesn't seem to have a philosophy.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like you said, no philosophy. It doesn't seem like he light a fire on the guys, like how Rick do, and show the emotion like how Rick do, like how he's currently showing right now in Indiana. And
right.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, that part, that matters. That matters. That matters especially with the players that we have on our team, showing how incapable they are. That kind of stuff, those small intangible stuff, that matters. And you can hear the ESPN crew. I mean, I didn't watch the ESPN that much because I always watch Bally. But, I switch here and there to see how the commentating is and what they're saying. And, of course, they're killing our role players, which is granted.
That was actually nice because a lot of times, what's his name? Mike Breen started in on, well, should Luka get guys more involved? And as he was doing that, Tim Hardaway dribbled off his leg. Exactly. And it was just perfect. It's like, thanks for this, bucko. Stephen A. Smith went in on it. Luka normally takes a lot of heat immediately up front. So it's work. I hope that on a national level, a filthy casual national level from people who aren't doing this every game like we are for the Mavericks, start to make these comments, because this has been my beef for 4 years. Get better players. Maybe you'll have a better team.
Yeah, and like I said, lastly, they have to just make that change. Because like I saw you tweeted on Twitter in regards to Reggie Bullock layup. He got the outlet. He missed the layup. I'm like, oh my god, this guy cannot do anything right.
It's like watching a guy with the yips. He nearly blew the open court one.
I'm like, yeah, it's brutal. But like I said, this loss wasn't as bad as the other ones because this is kind of in a way you can put
it makes me more mad about the other losses, like the stupid ones. Like this one, you swallow this one because the Celtics are outstanding. Exactly. The only if this was going to be a close game, I love hating on Jason Tatum just as a form but I mean he's great tonight. All the Celtics were great tonight. It's just a much better team.
Yeah, and you can see what the Celtics what exactly what a 1-2 punch is or 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call them, Batman. But that they had Nico. Nico's at the game. They switched over to him and showed him he was at the game. So I wonder what is he seeing, or what may be going through his mind at the game, seeing exactly the product that we have on the floor. And
I know what he's thinking. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! I don't know what I'm doing. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
All right, man. Thank you.
Have a good one. Talk soon.
Man.
I better never interview Nico. I'm sure all these guys are great dudes. It's just I never understand this entire process where it's just like I'm a Salesforce administrator. Therefore, you probably shouldn't hire me to be a media person because that's not my job. Oh God, guys, we got a legend in the building. Akiva, welcome. How you doing, buddy? See, now we'd asked him to come in when we needed a bad kid game. So now we need him to give us his spiel. How you doing, friend?
My friend, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm looking forward to eating all the food tomorrow.
Yeah, I have a lunch planned with my former girlfriend and her son, and then I have a dinner with Josh and at a restaurant with Josh, his parents, and my former girlfriend and my son. It will be great.
Outstanding. Tell Josh I say hello, please.
Definitely will. So I spur of the moment, I decided to speak up here. Kirk, how I started dogging kid last year, pretty much after the hiring.
Yeah. We were both on the same page because I didn't like the hire either.
Yeah, and you hated the hiring also. And I had a problem with it also because once a guy, has a couple of teams that he coached and he was a failure, you're not gonna all of a sudden learn to be a good coach by watching a good coach, as he claimed to do in LA.
Right.
If you don't have it, you don't have it, and you can have good assistants, and you can have a great all-time great player who sometimes gets on my nerves a lot. I don't know. But you don't have anything until you have a good coach. Yes. And I used to cover my ass and say all the time that even this, in spite of Kidd, in spite of Carlisle, the Mavericks could, catch lightning and go all the way because they have such a great player.
Sure.
It happened with Carlisle once in 10, 12, 15 years, where you had the great Dirk Nowitzki, you had the right players
around. Winning the championship's hard, and you got to have a lot of things go your way.
Yeah, and Cuban, maybe I heard was I wasn't following the team at the time, but Cuban I heard was, I think you said he wasn't around that year.
That's correct. Yeah, he was. The story was that he was basically stepping away because the team had asked him to keep it quiet. And then we learned years later he was actually under investigation for something. So he had to be quiet.
So, but the bottom line remains he's still a big part of the team, always with decision-making and players we get. He just doesn't know how to quit, and he's never going to quit. So we're in bad shape. But I used to call on winning days when the team won, and everybody get upset and defend these guys.
Yeah.
But when they lose now is people seeing the light, and they could still. I'm not putting it past them to get into the playoffs, which they will, and then all of a sudden catch lightning if God forbid Luka doesn't get hurt.
Right.
And if things fall right, they could conceivably go away even. But it's just so much harder if you don't have the right coach. It's just so much harder. You got to get rid of this guy because Luka's clock is ticking, and you're never gonna maximize what you got until you get a good coach. And this guy is just a disaster. He's just a disaster.
Yep.
And again, they could still go on the winning streak, and
I'm sure they will. That's the real rub. Like they're gonna come out of this in some form. Luka's not gonna deal with a purely 500 team or even less than 500.
Right.
Like they'll figure it out.
Right, and it's just so frustrating knowing what could be. If you get a coach like Steve Kerr, I know they're not doing well now. But that he's a good coach. He's going to figure stuff out. They didn't look good the end of the regular season last year, and then they went ahead and won. But it's just so much easier when you have a good coach who does the right things, and we just don't have that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I'm bummed to have to go. I wanted them to win just so we could stop the bleeding, so to speak.
Does it frustrate you as much as it does me, those few possessions that Luka decides, okay, it's time to give somebody else the ball without a great assist? I'm just going to stand on the side and
hate it. And that's where he needs to be challenged more as a player, because when he gets involved in an off-ball way, there was a desperation give and go between him and Wood where he got fouled, and it's like, hey, see what happens when you move off ball, big guy?
Right.
He just needs to be challenged more on that front.
Off the ball, the only time he's useful is when he posts himself up.
Yep.
Other than that, he just stands away. He looks like he doesn't want the ball for the entire possession. He just doesn't even. And I a lot of times I get frustrated. Like why doesn't Dinwiddie ever return the ball to him? But it's because Luka just stands to the side and doesn't give a message that he wants the ball back.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot. It's only maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times a game. It's just frustrating as heck.
No, it's real frustrating.
We already live with the fact that he starts bitching about every call, right or wrong, and doesn't run back on defense. But what really gets to me is when he decides, okay, maybe it's just, he needs a breather. But even then, you could fake it as if you're still in the play.
That's true.
You know what I'm talking about? You watch.
I do.
He just turns away from the ball, puts his hand on, and just that's it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do absolutely know what you mean.
You need a breather, of course. It's hard work. Just fake it. Fake as if you're still in the play.
Yeah. You're making me think of a phrase in the workouts that I do where it's like active recovery, where you're not playing, you're not doing anything too hard, but you're still moving around and keeping things flowing.
Exactly. And still with the foul shots every once in a while, every once in a while he does go almost perfect, but usually, a lot of times he breaks a lot of them. But I'm not, listen, Luka is not our problem. Luka is our godsend. It is incredible. It's incredible. You think he's going to win the scoring championship? Or
I thought he'd curtail off at some point, but this is silly. They need him to do this.
Yeah. The only thing that would stop him is that he still pretty much, sprays the ball around, and even though they keep breaking the shots, he still has quote unquote faith in the team. Which, he should be more selfish. Because what it really bugs me is when it looks like he's got to either lay up if he just puts his head down, or he's right, or definitely can just put the ball in because he's close to the basket. He still kicks it out.
That's right.
Still too unselfish, a lot of times.
Well, it's going to go up. He's at 34 points right now, and he just scored, 42?
Yeah.
So it's probably going to go up to about 34 and a half, maybe. He's 2 points ahead of Steph. like the percentage of that, it's going to be really interesting to see how well he does here. So
yeah, and he's got a lot of years on Steph. Steph is going to get tired towards the end of the season, maybe.
Maybe you never know, man. That dude's a machine. He should be like Luka's. I mean, he should be a lot of people's model for being in shape because he just keeps going.
And for playing off the ball like he does.
That's right.
Luka could just do a little bit of that. He would be just the greatest ever,
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, thanks for hanging out, buddy. I appreciate you stopping in every now and again. We miss you.
Yeah, same here. Okay, my friend. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy.
You as well.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Oops. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. My bad, Akiva. My apologies. All right, coming up next, let's go with Chris. Hey, Chris. How you doing?
How's it going?
It's going.
Just thinking, it's November 2022, and we're about 8 years in. It was November 2014 when we get Powell, right?
Yeah.
It's just amazing, all the players that have come and gone since then, that he is still on the team and starting, and just the bad starts we're getting to this, like tonight, we're always saying like he's a saloon door. I mean, has no defense at all. He can't rebound, just jumps around like he's on a trampoline, but he just can't get the ball. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. I don't know, man. But you know what? Our only saving grace, really, I feel like we're going to make the playoffs. All these people say, "Oh, we're not making the play." We're going to make the playoffs, guys. Jesus Christ! Look at the damn standings. There is no clear-cut West team that's playing really great at all. And you know the Jazz are going to come down to earth. The Kings, the Thunder.
I don't know, man. We're almost 20% of the way. I'm sorry. We are 20% of the way through the season. The first 20 games. So I've seen this. This is a statistical thing. The first 20 games are actually really indicative of who makes the playoffs.
Is it a possible chance, though, that I'm not saying like do a trade and give up, mortgage your future for a somewhat decent player, but like you said before, like some of these teams they're going to go in panic mode or tank mode and just give up some of their player. I mean, well, I guess we would have to give up draft picks then. I mean, I don't know. So we just got to get somebody. I mean, I don't know.
We are. I don't like. You read my piece. Help is not coming.
Yeah, that's not.
Okay. This is aliens. Okay, where they're stranded on the planet. They can't contact anybody. Do you want to be Bill Paxton screaming "Game over, man"? No. They need to get their shit together as a team. Jason Kidd needs to stop playing bullshit games. Play the best guys together. Go win games.
I think he was a step in the right direction though tonight because Wood played a lot of minutes. He played at least the third most minutes tonight.
Wood did, yeah. Wood played a whole bunch in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and he had 26 points. I know he's not good on defense. I know he fouls a lot. He does these things on defense that he just needs to work on. But at least offensively, I feel like he kind of somewhat got us back in the game. I mean, Luka's 42 points is just crazy. Just a little bit better night from Dinwiddie. I think we would have had a really.
This is where what you're describing though is like, oh, we got to do some things a little bit. It's because they don't run any sets. They run screen and rolls. Like it's very difficult to explain, Chris. Like if you have an opportunity over the next 2 weeks, try to see if you can watch a Celtics game and just watch their offense and the things that happen. The Mavericks do nothing like this. They do nothing.
This is actually the first Celtics games I've really zeroed in and watched, and I'm like, damn, they are pretty good.
Yeah, they're outstanding.
But our problem too is, like you're saying, we're not really running that many sets. But our guys aren't hitting wide open shots. Finney Smith, he'll hit his shots eventually. I can't get over this Tim Hardaway Jr. thing. Why is he even on the team?
It's
Or in the rotation. Okay, let's just say, why is he in the rotation? Because his name is Tim Hardaway?
No, because I think they're trying to play him so they can eventually move him the same
way.
Yeah,
move his stock value. Yeah, but he's making it worse. I mean, another 2-point game from him, and he's getting good looks. They're just not falling. But, like, I don't know, man. Like, ever since this injury, he's just not – he's busted, like he said. Bullock needs to come back to the way he was playing at the end of last year. There's just a lot of just so many little things. But, yeah, they're just completely relying on Luka. I'm liking what I've seen from Christian Wood offensively, like I said. But, God, man, this sucks. I do want to see – I know the whole Hardy and I would like to see Wright as well. I know he's 5'10", but at least Jaden Hardy, just to see what you got there. Yeah. You never know. I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to be the savior or whatever, but anybody that can take Tim Hardaway Jr.'s minutes, I don't know. Just do something different. But at least, like I said, the West is pretty wide open. Yeah. At the worst, you're going to be a play-in team. But, I mean, you got Luka in the playoffs. He's just going to – I would go with him any day. So, it's a long season. This is just going to be a very frustrating one. So,
well, thanks for joining, buddy. I hope you have a good day tomorrow.
Happy Thanksgiving. Okay.
All right. Let's keep going through. Ishan, I'm sure you'd like to get on with your day and not have to think about this damn game anymore. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. It's kind of baffling, but I'm not mad about this loss. You can't be mad when you lose to the Boston Celtics. Especially, like, it's quite obvious they're a better team. That's fine. Like, you can lose games. I'm actually happy that they fought back in that second half, even though I think the Celtics were just kind of mailing it in. But at least, like, it's always an encouraging sign when the players look to have given up in the first half, but then start to fight back in the second, just to at least get some respect out of it.
I agree with
that. I understand, like, Luka needs to be held accountable, but, like, it's slowly getting to that point where I really don't care. Because, okay, we know Luka can play defense if he wants to, and say for example, a player like Trae Young can't. But the thing is, a Trae Young and a competent front office surround him with defensive help.
Mm-hmm.
As defensive specialists are streaky. They're streaky offensively. They're streaky defensively. Let them play at the absolute optimum, maximum level. And they did it to make everybody believe that we just didn't see this level of talent unlocked before. And now we're seeing, like, I think I hear you say this so many times, Kirk. Now we're seeing the regression to the mean. This was always an average team that outplayed everybody at an incredibly high level for a good 4 months. And now we're seeing, like, what the team was. Again, but I still do believe this team, exactly with the way that it's constructed, is so capable of just getting hot again.
Sure.
And once it gets hot again, I just want everybody here to remember this. As the Mavs fell to 9-8 to the 17th game of the season, this is how we felt. Because, and I remember when we fell to 14-15 in the last week of December. And I remember when the game went on us. So I remember those that I was playing.
Yeah, we're losing connectivity with you a little bit, buddy. Internet's getting a little choppy on your end.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I just feel like last December, this team was in a way worse situation and something has managed to come out of it. It's foolish to say that the same thing will happen again this year because I personally don't think it will. But I think that is the hope from the Mavs front office. We know they don't want to make moves now. And at this point, I hope they don't. Don't fuck up the pick situation just because you're getting scared of, like, you know, not being very good this year. Because we always knew that that's the risk we were taking by not re-signing Jalen Brunson and wanting to get up all our future picks back. I hope they don't overreact. But I think right now it's kind of what the Lakers are doing, which is a horrible example to have. in the sense that we know the quality of players that we have, and we're just going to hope they figure it out. And we're just going to hope they do well. And I just don't know how sustainable that is, and I don't know how Luka's making his peace with it.
Yeah, it's just going to be the grind of the season soon. I mean, the real challenge is that these next several games are hard, and that's going to be brutal because if they drop below 500, and I think there's a pretty good chance they will, because they play the Raptors next, even though the Raptors are pretty banged up. Then they play Milwaukee. Is that right? Yeah. Then they play. No. Where am I here? I'm lost. Yeah. Then they play Milwaukee. Then they play Golden State. And the Warriors have are a mixed bag entirely. They have a couple. Yeah. Right. Where it's just like if you catch they seem to be having like Maverickian problems in that Curry's amazing and everybody else is blarg. And
who's going to punish the Warriors' second unit, which is their glaring hole when our second unit is just so inconsistent.
Man, I can't wait though, in a sense, because like I've seen people clamoring, hey, is James Wiseman available? And Raul Vulgaris said it today on the Bill Simmons podcast that James Wiseman is the most actively harmful player to get major minutes in the NBA. That's not to say he's going to be terrible for the rest of the time, though I think it's likely. He's what happens when big men don't know what they're doing, even if they're skilled. Like goodness. But anyways, we're straying off course.
Some team would want him as a tank commander. That's all.
Now that's oh my god, that's a dark idea. James Wiseman is the Maverick tank commander. All right, man. You got anything else before I move?
No, I'm good. I'm just going to keep listening. Thanks for having me up.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming up. We'll talk soon. I hope my audio has been better in this, guys. I've been trying to use this mic a little more. I feel like this mic that Spotify Live sent me, I hold it very similar to how Dirk used to hold his mic in the finals run when he would get up there like a lounge singer. But I know my audio for a while was like waxing and waning, so I try to get it. I'm at least hopeful it's consistent. Oh, shit. That's some loud thunder. Okay, coming up next, my guy Ruben. How we doing?
Hey, can you hear me, Kirk?
I can. Welcome.
Hey, man. I kind of see why the Mavs have so many podcasts committed to them because they drive their fans crazy and every fan wants to get out their anger on their own time, I think.
Josh Bowe wrote a piece the same day I wrote my piece about how the Mavericks no help is coming. He wrote a piece about how the Mavericks are the perfect team for the discourse. And it's still up on the site, obviously, but the gist of the piece is like the Mavs are just good enough to be interesting, but broken enough that they we're just going to bitch about them the whole year. And yeah, this is it.
Literally. And I think I literally heard that big crash of thunder. Like, I'm in Frisco. It was the biggest lightning bolt I've ever seen and heard just happen.
That was not, I mean, it made my dogs downstairs bark. So,
but no, just a couple things. I don't have my own podcast yet. Tonight made me, almost want to start one, but not really. But I don't get all the Nico hate. I really don't. Now, if you look at it from a certain perspective, every move he has done has made the team better. So hear me out. He made the KP trade middle of the season for 2 players. What the hell was that? We got Spencer Dinwiddie, bum leg. We got Bertans.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah. I mean, it worked out. Sucks because we have Bertans until like 2029 or some shit. But Spencer's at least a better fit, I think, for what the Mavericks want to do.
Right. And both of those players were key to getting us to the Western Conference Finals. A lot of people don't want to admit that, but Bertans did have some hell of a games.
I like watching Bertans. Yeah. He's a mess, but it's like it's a beautiful mess.
It's a beautiful mess, and he's a 3-point sniper, and we all know those guys are not automatic. The only automatic one is Curry, pretty much. But let me continue. So we got those guys. Nico's move. He didn't pick Josh Green, but hey, Bulgaris is still getting on these podcasts, and it kind of, Josh Green is making him look like a genius at this moment, in certain aspects.
Sure.
So we'll give that to B. But Nico gave us, I'm gonna call him B. I don't feel like pronouncing his name right now. But
so y'all Josh Green lovers are. Like, I wish I loved anything like some.
Hey man, just watch. Okay, let me continue. So Nico gave us a great trade. Nico gave us, it looks like a great second round pick, which
guys, come on, look at the other rookies who are playing. I get that you're clamoring for these guys, but if he was good, he'd be playing.
Yeah, if we didn't have Jason Kidd, he would be playing. Look at the Golden State Warriors, for example. Do you think they're not going to make the playoffs? Realistically,
I don't know, man. They are shaky as shit.
Shaky as shit. But you know why they're shaky as shit? Most of their players they're playing are like first year.
Yeah, they have 3 second year, like a whole bunch of like basically second year players.
Yeah, really young players. They're getting their speed bumps out of the way so they can see, so what we did in our 20 games to see what our vets could do, they did with young players, pretty much. They're still doing it, and they sent one to the G League. The guy you were just talking about, the big.
I hope you get to see him play. He is. They
saw him play and said, "Hey, get your ass on the bus." And
they benched him in the last. The reason I know this is I'm in a couple of chats with Warriors fans. They benched him in the G League. That's okay. He didn't start the second half of a game because they were down 20, in no small part because he sucks ass.
Jesus Christ! Was his injury that bad?
No, it's just okay. I think everybody that came out during the COVID year, so 2020, like Josh Green was drafted November of 2020. It's wild to think that was just 2 years ago. Wiseman in specific was interesting because he didn't play in college due to eligibility issues, and he didn't really get any seasoning. So it's like you have this physical specimen who everybody just, he played some high school basketball, but that. Unless you see a guy compete against like-minded competition, it's really hard to get a feel for him. And everybody just insisted that he would blossom into this really good guy, but he doesn't really know how to play. He has no defensive instincts. Defense in this, we just kind of know this by now with basketball. You can teach a guy where to be, but you can't teach him how to react.
Right.
And that's what, particularly for like fulcrum, like center-based stuff. It's why like Dwight Powell, Josh Bowe in our chat tonight made the comment that if like Dwight Powell was like 3 inches taller, he'd be like a $20 million player. Definitely. But instead he just gets bulldozed at the rim.
Yeah, and slaps balls like he's playing volleyball. I'm like, bro, just grab it. Come down and grab it. Like you're jumping high. You're beating everybody to the ball. You're just slapping it though. Go up with 2 hands. You go up with 2 hands to defend them, but for a rebound. Jesus. But I'll continue. But Nico, great trade. Great pick to what it's looked like. He's just not getting playing time, but he's like he's averaging,
he's playing real well. He's playing real well down there.
He's playing great.
That's important for him because he did not have a good year last year in the G League. He was bad.
Right. And I think Josh, a lot of people were saying if he dominates in the G League, that's how you got a good player. And it looks like we got a good one, like maybe a steal. But that was a Nico move. Another Nico move was signing the guy that played for the Greek team. He just dropped 40 in the G League.
I was at that game.
How was it?
It was fun. You're right. You said you're in Frisco. They play games Friday and Saturday. The tickets, I got like $10 tickets.
I gotta go. I'm really literally up the street on left.
Yeah, you should go. It's worth your time. They put on a fun product.
I'm gonna catch a game, but that's a Nico move. And the other guy, I'm giving that to Nico too. The other point guard, McKinley. Yeah. So those are looking like great moves. They're in the G League right now, but those are great moves by Nico. Another Nico move, trading people that didn't even get minutes on our team for C Wood. That's looking like a great move.
But
Jason Kidd's move. Exactly.
Kid and Nico are simpatico. Like anybody that tells you different is not telling the truth. Those two, like, I get that Nico is general manager, but nothing happens without Jason Kidd sign
correctly. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So I don't understand. That's part of what is so baffling about the Wood minutes thing, because if we understand this to be true, then he's not playing Wood, and there's some wonderfully weird.
That's what I was getting to. That's exactly.
I don't believe any of that stuff. This is purely bullheaded of Kid wanting them to play a certain way, and they cannot play that way.
Yes, something happened in that relationship. It's got to be like a U-turn, something, a conversation or something. Because all these new players that we got, we are not playing them. And again, Hardy is rookie, so we definitely understand. But C. Wood was a Nico guy. At this point of the season, we know the stories and who Jason Kidd wanted. He got his guy. It just didn't turn out. He's playing a little bit better, but not starting better. Not an automatic guaranteed start better. I'll say it that. But right now, Nico has more cachet than Jason Kidd at this point. I can't remember how they got hired. If Nico got hired and he brought Jason Kidd, or
Kid was
package deal. Okay. That's fine.
Confirmed.
That's totally fine. But right now, one is showing their worth way more than the other. And I'm not going to get into, I'm not on the fire Jason Kidd thing, right now. He has his cachet is getting, and it looks like Igor was a big part of that. Not sure who's, that may have been Mark.
Who's the redheaded? The chat, tell me, who's the redheaded guy? He coached for a couple games when Kid had it's right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I can never remember the defensive coach.
Sean Sweeney. Sweeney does a lot for them, I think.
But is it defensively or offensively?
I just think he's kind of he's like the primary dude who kind of gets things going. Like he does a lot, obviously defense, but I think
defensively more. But I feel like Igor is more of the offense because you can kind of tell.
We had decent stuff out of timeouts, and now it's just like, hey, somebody goes set a screen.
Yeah, we don't even call plays. You're super correct, like pretty much all the time, Kirk. I guess people take a minute to catch up, but. That's it right there. Somewhere in that relationship, because everybody that Nico has brought in does not get minutes, does not see the court. At this point, like the frustration is I don't want to say we don't have good players. This team is old. I think you said it before. This team is old, and it's showing in this it's showing in this season. I don't care what Timmy looked like 3 years ago. Like Reggie is a year older and he played 40. Like you're like expounding his minutes.
Sure.
DSF is a year older. I like what he's giving us, but you can tell tonight Celtics players were moving and cutting. DSF cut one time. C. Wood, he does his pick and roll, and sometimes he's open, sometimes he's not. He's got to work on. He's never played on a winning team, so he's got to work on moving to the basket without fouling. I'll give you that. Like he did get called for some pretty stupid offensive fouls, but they were banging and they were just calling him on most of the plays. But this team needs an injection of youth. I'm not going to say play him like all the fucking time, but it just needs an injection of youth. Josh Green got off the bench and got I feel like it was our first offensive rebound.
Yeah. It was a three that went out towards the right elbow.
Right. The
Mavericks never crashed
at all. And he's the only person that I feel like has the decency or like the intellect.
Well, that's a scheme choice. That's actually something where they've told him you're allowed to go get offensive rebounds. That's something I'm pretty sure of. Because NBA teams are pretty wild about this, where offensive rebounds have kind of been shown to not be particularly valuable, but Dorian was pretty good at it last year, and Green is also pretty good at it. So it's like, if you send one guy, it's fine. If you send more, sometimes you're like particularly with how shitty the Mavs are in transition defense, you're basically like giving up opportunities. But I like when Green crashes the boards because it's
I love it.
Tasmanian
he's not
devilish.
Yeah, he's not scared. Like, it'd be like a bigger, like 7-foot guy. He gets it most of the time, but this team needs an injection of youth and an injection of players that can dribble, an injection of players that have a slight bag. Right now, we're starting players with no bag, with like Luka and Spence are the only one with a bag that can dribble between the legs, get a guy off him. I'm not saying that we have to start all our rookies or everybody in the G League. I'm not saying that, Kirk. But light a fire under Timmy's ass. Light a fire under Reggie's ass. Say, hey, we got some guys that are hungry. Let them come up here, get a couple minutes, and play. Like Reggie tweeted last night about a good game that Hardy had. It's like your players are giving these guys love, and the coach is after this game, you cannot be stubborn because I tweeted, I cannot wait for the softball questions that the Mavs media that need to keep their credentials are asking him. After this game, I think they should light a fire under Jason Kidd's ass because he's not lighting a fire under players that deserve to be lit the fuck up at this moment, because we have players that are hungry, that can move, that can do everything that we want and need, but they're just not ready. But just sprinkle it in every once in a while. Just do it, because we are having playoff rotations right now. What are we doing, Kurt? Playoff rotations. They are going to be tired about time we get to the playoffs. So just sprinkle. We got 3 guys that can create their own shots and are averaging crazy numbers. We got a guy in the G League that just dropped 40, and he's played with Giannis. So he's not a rookie. This guy is kind of like a young vet. And like I said, I'm not saying give him
I hear
most of the minutes.
So here's what's going to happen. I'm just going to predict this.
Bring me back down to earth.
If things are still funky at game 25 or so, then I think you might start to see some of this
right
stuff. But at that point, you're sort of seeding elements of the season. And then number 2, I think you're going to be shocked at how not with it Hardy is. I
know he has turnovers.
It's a different level of athleticism. It's a different schematic. The Legends are really fun because they play
free.
They play fast.
Yeah.
The Mavericks do not play fast. Luka is a scalpel. All right. And he cuts and dices the defense slowly. Hardy, if he were to play, is going to have a game where he comes in and he plays 12 minutes and he gets 4 shots. And you're not learning a lot from his game if he's doing that once every 2 games, because it's I don't really know. It's a volume thing. The Mavericks are just not in the situation where they can go through this sort of stuff and still expect to win games. Now, the flip side argument here that you're making is they're not really winning games anyway.
Right.
So why don't you try some stuff? And I understand. I just think it's not going to be quite. It's a really tricky situation, because if you start playing a second round rookie and I get why everybody are excited about the numbers. I'm not crapping on the numbers. I watched him play. It was fun. He's got a really fun shooting stroke, but it's a different G League stuff. Almost feels like a different sport, but I wanted to get the reps,
right?
Because the shooting stuff where he was doing just catching and firing. I like that, because that
is what Timmy does. It's what Timmy does, and he misses. And
man, I gotta get
but one thing I will get off with: iron sharpens iron. It's a football term. Iron sharpens iron. And when you got guys that are hungry, their turnovers are them sharpening, and they're learning what they can and cannot do. But at this point, we got vets that they've been sharpened. They are sharpened to their sharpest point, and they're still not delivering. But I'm not too mad at this game. We're playing the best team in the league. Luka definitely needs guys to cut, and we just need an injection of youth and people that can move. Thank you so much, Kurt.
Talk soon, buddy. Let's keep going. Nav, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. You sound good.
So this game, not really bothered by it. I know you said that earlier. I feel like the reason like I'm upset about this game is not so much this game, but the fact that we lose the winnable games.
Yeah.
Whereas like we're not. No, I don't think anybody really realistically expected us to win this one, but it just makes it more frustrating when you lose the other games. One thing I was gonna ask you is, what do you think the biggest difference is between the defense from this year to last year? Because in the starting lineup, you're just switching Brunson and Dinwiddie. You would think Dinwiddie, bigger, longer, player. Like, is it just like everybody's lost a step, or is it something you're seeing schematically?
Really good question. The super secret element of their defense last year, when things really started to hum, so we'll say between like January 1st to the trade deadline, is Kristaps Porzingis. I'm not being glib about that. Porzingis was actually very good. It's part of how they were able to trade him, and then he's playing quite well with DC. After that, their defense kind of quietly got worse. Now in the playoffs, they really made it work. They made their sort of kinetic chain, everybody rotating and going to the right spots, everybody playing hard. They really got that to work quite well. I think Brunson was kind of an underrated defender in that element because he might have been short, but he was in the right location.
Charges.
And Reggie has just been fucking terrible. He just gets blown by in ways that I don't understand how. There were two tonight where I'm just like, did you think someone was behind you helping? Where it's like where Jaylen Brown would get all the way to the rim. That was crushing me.
Yeah, I felt like that was everybody on the perimeter. I felt like Dorian was
today, absolutely.
Yeah, like Dinwiddie. Even like there was a play towards the end of the game, Luka, and I can't remember who else it was like trying to trap Tatum, and he just went around the double team and dunked it.
Yeah,
and it just so it's just something I don't know. That's kind of been the thing that I've been looking at, and so it makes it even more frustrating with where Jason Kidd coming out and being like preaching defense but not playing Christian Wood.
Yeah,
I was gonna say on like the Christian Wood thing. So you said this earlier. I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. So you're saying that Nico and Kidd are on the same page about the moves that are being made.
Yes.
Okay, doesn't that make the Christian Wood situation even more baffling then?
I think it does, but I think when faced between the prospect of having some of those guys who are on the back end of the roster, so go back to the week before the draft where it was it was Brown, it was Boban, it was Burke, and one more guy for Christian Wood, and then Kidd basically getting the fact that he doesn't have to deal with a rookie off his plate. When it's sort of a Sophie's choice, I think, where he probably didn't really want to do it because I don't think he really cared for Wood. Wood might have even been in Milwaukee for a spell when Kidd and Wood might have been there at the same time when Wood was a younger man. I could be wrong. Somebody could fact check me on that. And I think he has a predetermined bias against Wood because Wood is not really a good defensive player. But I think he would have rather dealt with this than deal with, I don't know if like Christian Braun was available or something, but he probably wouldn't have played that guy. Because the McGee deal was already done at that point. Like, it wasn't announced, but we know all this stuff gets done well in advance. So he had his starting center, and then when somebody else is brought in who is a completely different kind of player that basically puts this whole philosophy at odds. And so I think Kidd would probably do this again just because he would rather have to make these kind of choices than, make it work between Wood and friggin' Powell. It's an odd thing, but I also think that if it doesn't work, it sort of gives him a scapegoat to be able to say, well, this didn't work because I didn't have the defender in the post and we needed that. We saw that last season, yada, yada.
Yeah, I guess looking at everything from like a big picture standpoint, like I read your article the other day. I didn't disagree with a single word you wrote, but like that doesn't bother me as much like the roster building. Like, yeah, that it sucks and we're in a crappy situation, but I'm more frustrated by the coaching and the rotations and the decisions that Jason Kidd's making. Like you've been saying, like we're not running an offense. Like even when we give Christian with the ball, it seems like it's a lot like, all right, here you go, here's the ball, now do something. Oh no, you didn't do something. That's why we don't play him. And it's like,
that's
look,
right.
No one's saying he's like an all NBA guy, right? Like he's one of the only guys that can actually do something. Like, why don't we, or do we not have any kind of offense whatsoever? Like, what?
I don't think so. Like, we have some neat post-up options.
Yeah, the whole thing just doesn't. That's really my biggest frustration, right? It's like it's like kind of almost like, like where you get mad at. Like you get mad at your kid when they don't try, their best. Where it's like, dude, it's okay.
Yes.
If you lose the game or if you miss a shot, I'm upset because you're not playing to your fullest potential. That's how I feel about the team overall.
I understand.
Like, I'm not mad we're losing, or it's like I'm mad we're losing and we're not playing to our fullest potential, and that also doesn't give us an opportunity to have an accurate portrayal of what the team actually is at its best, to then know what we need to add via trade or off season to try and fix it.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's where it's like, I understand if people are like, oh, we just need to give Nico more time, yada, 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 because they did inherit a tough situation. But the moves made so far, I disagree with Ruben, for example. I don't think they understand or care. Like, I think they understood how they got to the Western Conference Finals, but they did not. It's like, well, that still wasn't the way they wanted to play. So we're going to go build a team based on how we want to play, regardless of whether it'll work or not. And honestly, dirty secret, he's trying to rebuild the 2020 Lakers. 2020 Lakers were a clown fraud of a champion. No one is going to remember that team. Like Dwight Howard fouled the shit out of everybody, and Anthony Davis shot 43% from three. Like the Nuggets were this close to beating them outside of a garbage 3-point attempt from Anthony Davis that went down. Otherwise, it's like you're not rebuilding a team that just fouls everybody to death and plays because Luka's not that guy. It's like you have a generational talent. Build around him. Build to his strengths. Also, maybe consider bringing in players that can challenge his ball dominance. Like I know that he might want to play this way. I get it, but they have to figure out a different means of making some of this work. Just because I'm not sure if this is sustainable in the long run. I mean, I kind of hope it is because I kind of enjoy watching Luka go nuts. But it's just it's got to be both that and winning basketball.
No, I agree. I completely agree. I guess that goes on to my next thing I wanted to touch on is what do you think about? I don't know if I've heard some other people talk about trying to get the best players on the team to know when it's time to take over the game and teach them that skill. Where I'd be curious if kind of like, if you start Wood and, in place of Powell and you tell Luka, it's like, all right, the first quarter, our goal is to get everybody involved. Yeah. Try and get Dinwiddie going, try and get Wood going, let, Dorian and Reggie, get open shots, whatever. We need you to get them involved, make sure everybody's touching the ball, and then fourth quarter, it's your time because we need you to bring us home.
That's what James Harden did with the Nets in that first year until he got hurt with his hamstring.
Okay. So that would be like, and I feel like that's obviously back on coaching, where I feel like all my complaints go back on coaching, whereas I guess other teams you can complain about coaching. The difference is that they have a roster that can make up for.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's where the kid stuff I think is only going to grow louder because it's not like they don't really do anything different. It was weird because, Kid made that comment about how Luka's not going to make it to Christmas with how they're playing, and they proceeded to do nothing differently.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, yeah. And that's why I feel, you're just banging your head on the wall and you're like, there's this other guy, Christian Wood. He's the only guy that can actually do something. Yes, he's not perfect. Yes, he has all these warts, but we don't have the luxury of not playing him.
Yeah, I agree. And he seems to think we do.
Yeah, and that's kind of my biggest frustration. It's like we don't have talent enough outside of the team, outside of Christian Wood, to be treating him like he's our eighth best player, or like a Jamal Crawford kind of whatever, six man off the bench. So but all right, just want to say thanks. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a good day. And also, my wife wanted to tell you thank you for doing these, because now I stopped talking.
Because you talk to me about it instead of her. Yeah. See, that's why I started doing these. Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
All right, take care.
Have a good day. I love it. Harris, you've been waiting a while. Sorry about that. How you doing?
Hey, Kirk. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for stopping by again.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm wondering about Reggie Bullock. Like, even if he gets as good as he was in the playoffs last year, by the end of the year, he's on expiring next year. Even if we can't trade him for anybody and get like a star back, is it worth extending someone who is not good at the two things he does for like half the year, and we need more people who can actually like drive the ball?
It's a good question, because when he's playing really well, it's such a well-oiled piece where you're like, man, this guy's so important. But then when he's done what he's done this far into the season, we're having the same conversation at this point last year. We're like, why do we sign this guy? This is another offseason bust. I don't know. That is a great question, because I'd be curious on what selling high on Bullock looks like, because he does it like he's $5 million guaranteed next year. Like, that's a steal.
Yeah, you could easily get something like throw him in like a package or something if we're throwing in all our picks and everything. And that's probably like the best case scenario. And I mean, like, same thing with like Dinwiddie. He's unguaranteed too, but like we got to get something big if we're throwing away like our second best player too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I know we've been wanting like more Luka screening for the ball, and with him and Dinwiddie, they tried it this game, and Luka is so bad at rolling. Like he barely set a screen, run like an inch in, and then went back out to try to get the ball again. And it's just like I don't know like what kind of offense they're running, or if like Powell only gets minutes because he's like the only person on the team who can set a good screen, or like I don't know like what they're gonna do with all this.
And that's where it's just like, is he bad or is he being lazy? He's too good of a basketball player. He knows how rolling ought to work. I saw some of that. That was maddening.
Yeah, definitely. He just like, it's not what he's comfortable doing yet. So it's going to be
Ruben. He's talking about trading picks once we're out from under the Knicks, the Knicks pick this summer. That's what Harris means. He doesn't mean right now.
Yeah, no, we can't do it now. Like there's no, that would just dig us bigger in a hole. But
I saw like 9 all caps messages from my man Ruben. Just needed to answer him.
You're fine. But like that's about it. Like it's gonna be a take of medicine year. I mean, even if we do well, the roster is constructed. We've seen that this isn't like a team that's gonna be consistently good.
Yeah.
And just because we rely so much on 3-point variance too. I mean, like the Celtics were really hot tonight.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. They shot 50% from 3 and won by 12.
Yeah, I mean, like that's how it goes sometimes. But like if you construct your roster to be on 3-point shooting, then like you're gonna get games like this. Like even last year when we were good, every like 4 games you'd be like, oh, we just didn't like make our shots, so we got destroyed by like the Knicks, or we lost the playoff game to like I think there was like that game 3. The Warriors where Luka was doing amazing. We lost by like 9 because 3 like Raxi, Reggie, and Dorian couldn't hit a shot.
Yeah.
Oh, so, I mean, like even at its best, it's like this roster is pretty limited.
It is. Well, thanks for hanging out tonight. All right, we got a couple more people, and then we'll get out of Dodge. Tyron, welcome. Sorry to make you wait so long.
No, it's all good. Before I add my 2 cents, I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. Kirk, I'm tired of having these conversations. It's maddening at this point. On so many different levels. I'm just gonna start like just from the top down. Like something needs to change. This is absolutely crazy, and it doesn't make any sense. And we're the laughing stock of the NBA right now. It's ridiculous. It really is.
We're not quite there. A couple more losses, and we might be.
I feel like we're already there, Kirk. Like, when your superstar gets on national television and says that we're known as the team that loses when superstars aren't, that's pretty laughable. I feel like we're already there. That was embarrassing. And Reggie Bullock, Jesus Christ, like, do we really need to sit here and wait for like December or whatever month he decides to wake up every year for you to like show up and start playing basketball, and it's not even guaranteed? That's not a good look. The whole Christian Wood thing is embarrassing. Clearly he's our second best player on the roster right now, and he's in some kind of weird, I don't know what's going on with him and Jason
He's
Kidd.
trying to win. Have you been following any of the post-game quotes from Kidd and from Wood?
No, because I want to keep my sanity. No, I don't.
It's like, it's trying to think how to describe it, because it's like he and Kidd are engaging in a bit of a proxy war where they probably, I'm sure they've talked about this, but then again, maybe they haven't. But either way, Wood is basically doing his best to smile and letting his eyes do the speaking, if that makes any sense.
Total sense.
And whereas Kidd is like, well, we're looking into this. We always sit and talk about these things. Maybe we'll make it. It's like just basically, because I don't know if you guys have followed, like I've been really kicking the shit out of his post-game practice press conferences where he says nothing. He talks in circles, and he does it again in post-game. Like Carlisle was such a different guy where he would take things on his chest to a fault where he'd be like, this one's on me when we'd lose. And Kidd gets up there and he's like, well, got to figure out what somebody can do different. It's so weird.
And it's so embarrassing. So, I mean, again, from a national standpoint, we got that going on. We have an incompetent coach. For once, we let a young guy actually get some heat and show what he's got. And Green is starting to show up now. Hopefully, they do the right thing, and he doesn't get traded to a team that bites us in the ass in the second part of the year, like usually happens. I'm just tired of it all, I'm really willing to kind of give some of these guys that Ruben was throwing out there a chance. I don't care what anybody says in the comments. I'd much rather see McKinley Wright or Jay Nardi play and get some heat in the NBA instead of.
I get why you'd like to see it. I do.
Why not?
I think if they do that, they're telling Luka that the season's over.
I mean, from Luka's body language and stuff tonight, I kind of feel like he knows the season's over already. So what are we doing? Just blow it up and get some. And I know the thing that pisses me off the most about the Dallas Mavericks organization, they have this thing where they like a guy, they keep him whether he can play basketball or not. I love Dwight Powell too. You know what I mean? But it's time for him to go. I love a bunch of guys on this roster. I'm not gonna say because I don't want to get the comments already flamed up enough. But it's a lot of guys on the team that have been here. They did their thing, and it's time for them to go. And we need to get some guys in here because that's just part of the business. You move guys around, and the name of the game is to win. We're not focused on winning at all. It's about having all your buddies and the guys that you fuck that. It's the NBA, it's basketball. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to win. I'm tired of having these conversations. I'm tired of being embarrassed wearing my Mavericks jersey out in public. It's bad. It's time for a change. It really is.
Well, good thing we're gonna get more of the same. Aren't you excited?
Oh, goody. Anyways, that's all I got, Kirk. Y'all have a good night, all right?
You too. All right. Krishna, what's up, buddy? Sorry to make you wait so long. Give Krishna a second. He hasn't hit the mute button yet, so that's half the battle. Man, I said we weren't going to talk that long. It's been 90 minutes. I don't think I'm going to get to watch Andor tonight, folks. Don't think it's happening. Krishna, you there? All right, I'm going to boot you. Harold. What's up, buddy? You might be the last one, if your audio will work. Give Harold a second, see if he can figure it out. Maybe he didn't mean to join the stage. Nope, didn't mean to. It's okay. Guys, I'm tired. 90 minutes in. I think we got to call this one a night. We'll be back on Saturday. They play an early afternoon game, which is interesting. maybe we'll get to talk early again. I like these early ones. I want to thank you all so much for spending part of your day with me. I want to thank you for coming and, being a part of Mavs Moneyball, being a part of these group therapies and Mavs parties. Have a great time. They are therapeutic. They make me take this not as seriously as I used to, which I think is good for everyone. Please go. I hope you all enjoy. For those stateside, please enjoy your day tomorrow. For those around the world who are listening to this and wondering how Americans can somehow be more eat more food and be more ridiculous, well, we have a holiday for that, and I love it. So we will talk soon. Everybody have a great day, and go Mavs.